In this video, we'll be looking at the 6-figure Sonic pack released by First4Figures. This pack contains 6 classic-style Sonic characters originally sculpted by Goran Sadojevic, one of First4Figures' most active artists. He's the one responsible for many of the statues in their line, including Super Sonic, Metal Sonic, as well as a lot of the company's Legend of Zelda range. Since this video was created, I'm aware that toy company Jazzwares are releasing these figures under their own name and under their Sonic Through the Ages style packaging. This review, however, will focus on the First4Figures release. I picked up this pack of 6 from my local Toys R Us for £19.99. It's likely to be the cheapest Sonic related item you will ever get from First4Figures. Before diving into this box though, I think it's worth looking into the past at what there has been. This is a new box of Tomy's Sonic & Knuckles minifigures. They were originally released in 1994, likely to coincide with the launch of Sonic & Knuckles here in Britain, and the box shows this with various Sonic & Knuckles motifs. On the back we can see that the range back then was really quite big, with virtually all of the original Sonic 1 badniks as well as some forgotten ones such as Splats for Rabbit, a figure which one of my boxes thankfully contains. Also interesting to see is that there were multiple renditions and poses for Sonic himself. Very interestingly, one of these models is referred to as Classic Sonic. Maybe Tomy secretly knew what was to come 17 years down the line. From the pictures on the back of the box, most of these figures look very pleasing. However, a look at the front shows that all isn't necessarily rosy. The painting on these figures can be sloppy in some places and downright hilarious in others. Interestingly enough, one of Metal Sonic's ears is a totally different colour to his other one. They've also forgotten to paint in his front engine intake. Overall, for their time, these figures were excellent little trinkets to have, and they were also solid and robust, which meant they were ideal toys for children. Now, let's have a look and see if First4Figures have succeeded where Tomy may not have. The box itself is pretty standard given the Sonic branded items we already have. The pattern on it crosses a blue version of the checker pattern that Sonic is so famous for with a cityscape background. It's a unique choice and one where I wonder where the inspiration came from. The unboxing process is very simple. Just cut through the tape on the side and pull out the clear plastic enclosure that the figures are kept in. Pull the top half away and you've got access to the figures. Fresh from the box, here are some things that I noticed. Each figure on the sole of their shoe bears the Sega mark, showing that they're fully licensed and authentic products. Standing up, however, some of these figures are a little top heavy, which makes them quite tricky to stand up by themselves. I was lucky in this review, but if you want to keep these figures in one place for display, I'd recommend applying a little sticky tap to the bottom of one of their shoes. All stood together, the main cast is truly looking fine. Let's have a look at each figure individually. Sonic, being the star of the game, surprisingly isn't the biggest star in this figure pack. As can be seen, his pose looks a little bit uninspired. That said, however, his colour and representation are excellent. Sonic is tricky to stand up, however. As can be seen, both his feet aren't flat against the surface that he stands upon. Whether this is intentional or a moulding issue isn't clear, but for the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say that he's tapping his foot, waiting for something. Tails is well represented as well. Quite cleverly, the figure uses the base of his tails to help him to stand. Both of the tails are moulded together, something I don't have much of an issue with, seeing Tails keeps his namesakes together most of the time anyway. Tails looks well painted and is nicely sculpted too. However, I do have a small issue with Tails' expression on his face. He looks a little bit dopey here. Other than this, I don't have any issues. Knuckles is one of the better represented figures in this pack. His sculpt is excellent and all of his details are present too, down to the intricate shoe pattern as well as his crescent mark on his chest. Like Sonic, however, his pose is a little bit uninspiring. There's not too much else to say other than it's a nice figure. It's nice to see that Super Sonic has a representation in figure form here. Unlike a lot of the figures in this pack, Super Sonic has a different stance other than just standing to attention. The painting is well done and Super Sonic also has a suitably serious expression on his face. He stands up well as well. The only gripe I have here is that there's a large seam line which runs down both of his lower spines. Other than that, this is an excellent representation. Amy is a character which generally doesn't see that much merchandise, so it's great to see that she's represented here in her classic form and with some great detail to match. including her little tail. She does, however, look like an unposed 3D game model. There is something very wrong here, however. She lacks any kind of mouth or even any kind of eyelashes for that matter. For some people in the fandom, this may be seen as an improvement to her character, but in terms of quality control for the production on these figures, this raises some questions. I've checked around, however, and from the looks of things, this is just a one-off problem. Metal Sonic is the star of the show, however. His representation is perfect in colour, sculpt and in painting. On top of this, his pose is simply great and cries "come and get some" to anything that may be challenging him. It's also great to see that the fingers on Metal Sonic are all individual. Amazing for a figure of this size. This is easily my favourite figure in the entire pack, and it's a definite sell for any Metal Sonic fans out there. So, I've had a look at all of these figures individually, so how does this pack do overall? Whilst I'm aware that I've made criticisms, it's worth remembering that these are 2-inch tall figures and not fully fortified statues, and in that light, these figures are excellent given their size and price. Just be aware that the quality control of the pack that you get is very much a lucky dip, such as my Amy's missing facial features. There may be other packs which have faults in as well, just take it into account when buying. I have another potential issue with these figures which could stop them from being excellent children's toys. The figures are not posable in any way. Give one of these to a child, especially Metal Sonic, and you could be seeing limbs falling off and their polish wearing away quickly. Maybe Tomy was onto something back in the day. In the figure's defence, however, the detail on them is great, and the representation of each character is pretty well spot on. They would make ideal display figures to Sonicify any desk or workspace. Speaking of which, that's exactly what I'm going to do with my figures. Here in my room is my iMac, which I use to put together all of my videos. I have already applied a little bit of Sonic inspired decoration to it, but I feel that the top of the unit is still looking a little bare. With the help of some sticky tack, all 6 of the figures now have a happy home on top of the display. Retro inspired Sonic lives on.